Right now, somewhere in a kitchen just like yours, there's a refrigerator full of food. The shelves have things on them. The pantry has items in it. And yet the person standing in front of it cannot figure out what to eat. So they close the door. They grab a few crackers. Maybe they call for takeout. And later that week, half of what was in that refrigerator gets thrown away. This happens not because there wasn't enough money spent on groceries. It happens because the wrong groceries were bought in the first place. Here's a number that stops most people cold. Roughly 1 in 3 adults over the age of 65 is not getting enough protein, not because they can't afford food, but because the food filling their kitchen is not doing the right job. Bread, pastries, crackers, packaged cereals, flavored drinks. These are foods that look like meals, but leave the body running on empty. But what if the problem was never about buying less? What if it was always about buying the right things instead of the wrong things? Today we are going through exactly 15 groceries that older adults should buy every single week. These are foods ranked by how much they do for you, your protein, your energy, your digestion, your independence, and your wallet. Every item on this list is affordable, practical, and actually gets used up. No waste. No guilt. No staring at the refrigerator wondering what happened to last week's produce. If you are shopping for yourself or for someone you love after the age of 60, this list will change what goes in the cart. And the food at number 1? It costs less than 50 cents. But the reason it earns the top spot has nothing to do with price. Stay with me. Before we get into it, if you find this kind of practical, no-nonsense information useful, hitting subscribe takes 2 seconds, and it means you'll see the next video we put out. We focus entirely on real usable content for this stage of life. Okay, let's get into the list. Item 15. Eggs. We start here because eggs solve the single most common nutritional failure in kitchens over 60. Not enough protein. After the age of 60, the body becomes less efficient at building and maintaining muscle. The clinical term is sarcopenia, the gradual loss of muscle mass that makes standing up a little harder, walking a little slower, carrying bags from the car a little more exhausting. What most people don't realize is that to slow sarcopenia, older adults actually need more protein than younger people, not the same amount. Current nutritional research suggests somewhere between 1.2 and 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. One egg delivers about 6 grams of complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids. It also contains choline, a nutrient critical for brain function and memory that many adults don't get nearly enough of. Add vitamin B12, vitamin D, selenium, and zinc, and you have a food that is earning its price tag many times over. Here's the practical piece. Boil 6 eggs on Sunday. Put them in the refrigerator. That's instant protein for 3 days of breakfasts, quick snacks, or tired evenings when cooking feels impossible. 1 egg scrambled with a handful of frozen vegetables and a little rice is a full, soft, nutritious meal in under 10 minutes. At roughly 20 to 25 cents per egg in most stores, this is one of the best protein investments available anywhere in the grocery store. If your doctor has given you specific guidance about cholesterol, follow that guidance. But for the majority of older adults, eggs remain one of the most reliable, most affordable, most practical foods you can put in the cart every week. One note, but stay here, because item 14 contains something that virtually no other video on this topic mentions about protein timing, and it changes how valuable everything else on this list becomes. Item 14. Oats. Oats solve a very specific and very costly morning problem. The 10 a.m. hunger spiral. Here's what that looks like. Breakfast is a slice of sweet bread and coffee. Quick, easy, familiar. By 9:30 or 10 a.m., energy drops. Hunger comes back. A hand reaches for the cabinet. A snack appears. Sometimes a trip to the store happens just to get something to eat. This pattern drains money in small amounts, repeatedly, invisibly. Over a month, those small amounts add up to real money. Oats interrupt that cycle. The reason is a specific type of soluble fiber called beta-glucan, and this is important because the reference material in a lot of videos on this topic incorrectly describes oat fiber as insoluble. It's not. It's soluble, and that distinction matters. Soluble fiber forms a slow-digesting gel in the digestive system, which steadies blood sugar, extends fullness, and supports heart health by helping reduce LDL, the so-called bad cholesterol. For older adults, this is real, measurable value in a bowl. The money-saving trap to avoid: flavored instant oat packets. They are convenient, yes, but they can contain up to 12 grams of added sugar per serving, and they cost roughly 4 to 5 times more per serving. Buy a standard container of plain oats. Add half a banana and a teaspoon of peanut butter. You have a breakfast that is warmer, more filling, cheaper, and better for you than any packet off the shelf. A container of plain oats sitting quietly on the pantry shelf does not look impressive, but it does something very important. It keeps the morning from becoming a series of expensive, energy-depleting choices before 10 a.m. Item 13. Greek yogurt. This is the item that most senior grocery lists leave off entirely, and that is a significant oversight. Here's why it earns its place. A 170-gram serving of plain Greek yogurt provides roughly 15 to 17 grams of protein. That is more protein than 2 whole eggs, with no cooking, no pan to wash, and no heat required. For older adults who struggle with appetite, who don't want to turn on the stove, or who need a high-protein option that can be eaten straight from the container, Greek yogurt is almost unbeatable. What most people don't know is that Greek yogurt also contains live probiotic cultures, beneficial bacteria that support gut health. And there is growing research, still developing, but promising, linking gut microbiome health in older adults to mood stability, immune function, and cognitive performance. Your gut health and your mental clarity are more connected than most grocery lists acknowledge. The buying tip here is crucial. Buy plain Greek yogurt, not flavored. Flavored versions often contain 15 to 22 grams of added sugar per serving, which erases much of the nutritional benefit. Plain yogurt tastes mild, not sour. Add a banana, a drizzle of honey, or a spoonful of peanut butter, and you have a meal that costs roughly 60 to 80 cents and delivers more protein than most packaged breakfast foods. A large 32-ounce container of store-brand plain Greek yogurt provides 6 to 7 servings at a cost of roughly $8 to $10, roughly $1 to $1.50 per serving if you buy name brand, significantly less with store brand. Stay with me, because item 12 is where the no-cook protein theme continues with a can that can rescue your dinner in under 60 seconds. Item 12. Canned tuna. There are evenings when standing at the stove feels genuinely impossible. Not careless. Just tired. The kind of tired that comes after a long day, after a doctor's appointment, after a day when the body has already given a lot. And on those evenings, what usually happens? Bread, crackers, a few bites of whatever is closest, or takeout. Canned tuna is the answer to those evenings. Open the can. That's the whole effort. One standard 5-ounce can of light tuna in water provides approximately 25 grams of protein. It also provides omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA, which support heart function and have been linked to reduced inflammation, a factor in many of the chronic conditions that affect older adults. Here's the piece most videos skip. Not all canned tuna is equal when it comes to mercury. Albacore tuna, the white tuna, contains significantly more mercury than light tuna, which is typically made from skipjack. For older adults eating tuna multiple times per week, choosing light tuna is the wiser, safer choice. Mix it with rice. Put it in a baked potato. Add it to pasta or frozen vegetables. Eat it on whole wheat bread with a little mustard. One can of tuna, often priced between $1 and $1.50 at most stores, does more nutritional work than a bag of chips, a package of crackers. Buy multi-packs when they're on sale. Keep 6 to 8 cans in the pantry as what I'd call emergency protein, the food you reach for when dinner is about to become a bad decision. Item 11. Frozen vegetables. Let's talk about the most repeated, most predictable money loss in the senior kitchen. The fresh produce drawer. You know how it goes. The bag of spinach bought with the very best intentions. The bell peppers that were going to go in a stir-fry. The zucchini that seemed like a good idea at the store. And then a few days pass, life happens, the cooking doesn't happen, and those vegetables quietly turn soft and yellow at the bottom of the refrigerator drawer. Thrown away. Money gone. Guilt intact. The average American household wastes an estimated 30 to 40% of the food it buys, and fresh produce is the #1 culprit. For a senior on a fixed income, even $10 a week in wasted vegetables adds up to over $500 a year. Frozen vegetables eliminate that problem entirely. You take out what you need. The rest stays in the freezer for weeks or months, perfectly preserved. And here is what most people don't know. Frozen vegetables are often flash frozen within hours of harvest, at peak nutritional value. By contrast, fresh vegetables sold at a supermarket may have traveled for days in refrigerated trucks before reaching the shelf. In many cases, the frozen broccoli in your freezer is nutritionally equal to, or even superior to, the fresh broccoli on the produce rack. A 12-ounce bag of plain frozen broccoli costs roughly $1 to $1.50, compared to $2.50 to $3.50 for the same amount fresh. It lasts months instead of days. The buying strategy: keep 3 types in rotation. Something leafy, like frozen spinach. Something cruciferous, like broccoli. And a mixed blend for variety. Always choose plain, no butter, no sauce, no added sodium. Add your own seasonings, and you control everything. This is not a downgrade. This is smarter shopping. Item 10. Beans. Here's where the real money-saving secret lies. 1 bag of dry black beans. Under $2 at most grocery stores. Cooked properly, that bag provides 8 to 10 full servings of high-quality plant-based protein. That is a cost per gram of protein somewhere around 5 to 7 cents, compared to 30 to 50 cents per gram from chicken breast, and even more from beef or beans are, by almost any nutritional economic calculation, the most efficient food in the entire grocery store. But that's not even the most interesting thing about beans. What most people, including most nutrition videos, don't mention is that beans are one of the only foods that counts as both a protein source and a vegetable serving simultaneously. Folate, magnesium, potassium, soluble fiber, slow-digesting carbohydrates that keep blood sugar stable and digestion gentle. Beans do what protein supplements, expensive powders, and fancy health foods charge a premium to do, and they do it for the price of a cup of coffee. For canned beans, which are just as nutritious as dry for most recipes, rinse them well. Rinsing removes up to 40% of the sodium added during processing, important for anyone managing blood pressure. Black beans with rice and canned tomatoes. White beans in potato soup. Chickpeas mixed with tuna and olive oil over a bowl of greens. Beans do not need to be complicated. They just need to be in the kitchen. Item 9. Canned sardines or salmon. This is the item that catches most people off guard. And I'm going to ask you to keep an open mind for 60 seconds, because the nutritional case for this is stronger than anything else on this list. More calcium than a glass of milk. More omega-3 than a can of tuna. More vitamin D than almost any other food sold at a grocery store. And frequently cheaper than either milk or tuna. That is canned sardines. The calcium comes from the soft, fully edible bones. This is not a texture quirk, it is a genuine nutritional advantage. The bones in canned sardines are softened completely during the canning process and dissolve without any noticeable texture in most preparations. They are a source of bioavailable calcium that rivals dairy, without lactose, without the cholesterol concerns, and without refrigeration until the can is opened. For seniors managing bone density, one of the most pressing concerns after 60, calcium and vitamin D together, are the foundation of any bone health strategy. Sardines deliver both in a single, inexpensive, shelf-stable can. A tin of sardines costs roughly $1.50 to $2.50. By comparison, a month's supply of a basic calcium plus D3 supplement can cost $15 to $30. The food source is cheaper, more bioavailable, and comes with protein and omega-3 as a bonus. If sardines feel unfamiliar, start with canned salmon. It is milder in flavor, mixes beautifully with potatoes, crackers or salad greens, and provides most of the same benefits. The rule is simple: rotate one of these, sardines or salmon, into the cart every week, alternating with tuna. Your heart, your bones, and your wallet will all notice the difference. Item 8. Rice. Every item on this list so far, the eggs, the oats, the tuna, the beans, the sardines, the frozen vegetables, they all become significantly more satisfying, when they have a foundation to rest on. Rice is that foundation. This is not a complicated food, and it does not need to be. White rice provides carbohydrates, the body's preferred fuel source, in a form that is soft, easy to chew, easy to digest, and easy to combine with everything. For older adults who struggle with appetite, who have dental issues, or who need gentle foods after illness, soft white rice is often the most tolerable base for a real meal. But here is something worth knowing that very few people talk about. When rice is cooked and then cooled in the refrigerator overnight, it forms something called resistant starch. Resistant starch acts differently from regular starch. It moves through the digestive system more slowly, feeds beneficial gut bacteria, and produces a lower blood sugar spike. You do not have to do anything special. Just cook a large batch, refrigerate it, and use portions throughout the week. The benefit is automatic. A 5-pound bag of white rice provides 45 to 50 servings at roughly 5 to 10 cents per serving, one of the lowest cost per meal foods available anywhere. Keep rice in an airtight container in a cool, dry location. Write the purchase date on the bag. If you ever see moisture, discoloration, or weevils, discard and replace. Properly stored, it lasts 12 to 18 months. Rice alone is not a meal, but rice with any 2 items from this list always is. Item 7. Canned tomatoes. Without this item, the foods on this list taste like what they are: budget foods eaten out of necessity. With it, they taste like dinner. That is not an exaggeration. Canned tomatoes are the flavor bridge that transforms rice, beans, potatoes, chicken, tuna, and frozen vegetables from separate survival ingredients into something that actually tastes worth sitting down for. Nutritionally, canned tomatoes contain lycopene, spelled Lycopene, the compound that gives tomatoes their red color. Here's the detail that surprises most people. Lycopene is actually more bioavailable from cooked and canned tomatoes than from fresh raw tomatoes. The heat processing increases absorption by up to 3 times compared to eating a raw tomato. So the canned version is not a nutritional compromise. In terms of lycopene, it is often the superior choice. For anyone managing blood pressure, choose no salt added or low sodium versions. The flavor difference is minimal. The sodium reduction is significant. One smart storage trick: when you open a can and don't use all of it, don't put the open metal can back in the refrigerator. Transfer the leftover tomatoes to a small airtight container and refrigerate for up to 3 days. Better yet, pour any excess into an ice cube tray and freeze. Then drop 2 or 3 tomato cubes directly into soups, rice, or sauce as needed. Zero waste. Maximum flavor on demand. A 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes costs $1 to $1.50 at most stores and can provide flavor for 4 to 6 separate meals. That is 25 cents of flavor per meal. Before we continue, I want to ask you something simple. Of all the items we've covered so far, which one surprised you the most? Drop your answer in the comments right now. I read every single one. Item 6. Potatoes. 1 potato. Microwave. 8 minutes. A real meal. That is the entire argument for potatoes, and it is a strong one. Potatoes are one of the most misunderstood foods in conversations about senior health. They've been dismissed as too starchy, too high in carbohydrates, too simple. But here's what the research actually shows. When researchers tested dozens of common foods for satiety, the feeling of fullness per calorie, potatoes ranked number 1. Not quinoa. Not oats. Not brown rice. Plain potatoes. They are more filling per calorie than almost any other food in the grocery store. For older adults who deal with appetite changes, who graze without feeling fully satisfied, or who find themselves hungry again quickly after meals, that satiety advantage is genuinely significant. Nutritionally, potatoes provide potassium for blood pressure and muscle function, vitamin C for immune support, vitamin B6 for nerve health, and fiber, especially if the skin is eaten after thorough washing. They are soft, easy to chew, and incredibly versatile without any advanced cooking skill required. One important storage note: do not store potatoes in the refrigerator. Cold temperatures convert potato starch into sugar, which changes the taste and texture and makes them brown faster when cooked. Store them in a paper bag or breathable sack in a dark, cool, dry location. Away from onions. Onions release a gas that accelerates spoilage in potatoes. A 5-pound bag at most stores costs $3 to $5 and provides 8 to 12 generous servings at roughly 30 to 50 cents per meal, one of the most honest filling values in the entire grocery store. Item 5. Sweet potatoes. Same price as regular potatoes in most stores. Nutritionally, a meaningfully different food. And for seniors managing blood sugar, a significantly better option. Sweet potatoes and white potatoes are not interchangeable. They are related but distinct. Here is what makes sweet potatoes worth specifically adding to the cart as their own item. Beta-carotene. Sweet potatoes are one of the richest sources of beta-carotene available at any grocery store, the compound that gives them their vivid orange color and converts in the body to vitamin A. Vitamin A supports eye health, immune function, and skin integrity, all of which become more important, not less, after age 60. Night vision, eye strain, susceptibility to infections. These are areas where vitamin A deficiency shows up in older adults. But here is the detail most people miss. Beta-carotene is fat-soluble. That means the body absorbs it dramatically better when it is eaten alongside a small amount of a drizzle of olive oil on a roasted sweet potato. A spoonful of peanut butter eaten alongside. These are not just flavor choices, they are absorption strategies. Sweet potatoes also have a lower glycemic index than white potatoes, roughly 50 compared to 70 to 80 for a baked russet. For anyone monitoring blood sugar, that difference matters. One medium sweet potato costs 50 to 80 cents and takes exactly the same effort to prepare as a white potato, microwave, oven, or boiled. Bake a batch of 4 or 5 on a Sunday, refrigerate them, and eat one daily throughout the week. They actually improve in texture after being refrigerated, slightly denser, slightly sweeter, perfectly easy to eat cold or reheated. Item 4. Chicken thighs. Here's the honest reality about protein after 60. The goal is not just eating enough of it, it's eating protein you can actually get down comfortably, consistently, without it feeling like a chore. Chicken breast is often held up as the gold standard of lean protein. And nutritionally, it is excellent. But for many older adults, a piece of overcooked chicken breast is dry, hard to swallow, and not particularly enjoyable, which means it gets eaten less often, which means the protein goal goes unmet. Chicken thighs solve this problem. They are naturally higher in fat, which means they stay moist, flavorful, and forgiving even if the cooking time goes slightly longer than intended. They are also significantly cheaper. Bone-in, skin-on chicken thighs regularly price at $1 to $1.50 per pound, compared to $3 to $5 per pound for boneless chicken breast. Nutritionally, chicken thighs provide protein, zinc for immune function, B12 for nerve health, and iron. The bone-in variety also contains collagen, which contributes to joint health, and when the bones are used for broth, transfers into a flavorful liquid base for soups and porridge. Here's the practical tip that most lists don't include. Chicken thighs can be cooked from frozen in a covered oven dish at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for roughly 50 to 60 minutes. No thawing required. For seniors who forget to defrost, or who make last-minute dinner decisions, this is not a small convenience. It is the difference between a real meal and whatever is closest to the cabinet. Buy the family pack. Portion into small bags of 2 thighs each. Freeze them flat. Write the date. Today's dinner becomes tomorrow's shredded chicken and rice soup and the next day's filling in a warm potato. Item 3. Milk or fortified plant milk. Here is a number that is genuinely alarming and genuinely underreported. An estimated 40% of older adults are deficient in vitamin D. Not borderline low. Deficient. And vitamin D deficiency in seniors is directly linked to increased risk of falls, bone fractures, immune suppression. Most people do not feel a vitamin D deficiency. They just feel slower, more tired, a little less steady on their feet, and they attribute it to aging rather than to a nutritional gap. Milk or properly fortified plant-based milk is one of the most accessible sources of both calcium and vitamin D in a single, easy-to-consume glass. It requires no cooking. It can be added to oats, blended with banana, used as a base for soup, or simply drunk alongside a meal when appetite is low. Here is the critical buying distinction. If you are choosing plant-based milk, read the label carefully. Almond milk, despite its popularity, contains approximately 1 gram of protein per cup, compared to 8 grams in cow's milk. If you are avoiding dairy for digestive reasons or personal preference, the plant-based milk with the most comparable protein profile is soy milk, at approximately 7 to 8 grams per cup, often fortified with calcium and vitamin D. Oat milk and rice milk are effectively carbohydrate beverages with minimal protein. Buy the size you will actually finish. A larger carton is cheaper per serving, but only if you drink it before the expiration date. The most economical milk is not the biggest carton. It's the carton that doesn't get poured down the drain. Item 2. Peanut butter. There is a moment in the kitchen that many older adults know well. The cabinet is technically not empty, but nothing in it looks easy. The meat needs thawing. The vegetables need washing. The soup requires standing at the stove for 20 minutes. The body is tired. The appetite is low. And in that moment, what happens too often is a handful of crackers, a few cookies, or a phone call for delivery. Peanut butter is the answer to that moment. A 2 tablespoon serving contains approximately 7 to 8 grams of plant-based protein, along with monounsaturated fats, the same heart-healthy fat found in olive oil, vitamin E as an antioxidant, magnesium for muscle and nerve function, and enough concentrated calories to bridge a tired, low-appetite, tight moment into something that actually nourishes. Here is the label warning most people miss. Reduced fat peanut butter sounds healthier. It is not. Manufacturers replace the fat, which was the nutritionally valuable part, with sugar and modified starch. The result is a product with a worse nutritional profile than the original at a similar or higher price. The better choice is natural peanut butter, where the only ingredients are peanuts and a little salt. One storage tip worth knowing: store natural peanut butter upside down. The oil that naturally separates migrates to the bottom, which is now the top, so when you flip it right side up to use it. Small trick. Real result. A 16-ounce jar of natural peanut butter provides roughly 30 servings at approximately 10 to 15 cents per serving. That is extraordinary value for what it delivers, and it asks nothing of you except to open the jar. Item 1. Bananas. Under 25 cents each. No preparation. No cleanup. And yet this is the food that connects every other item on this list into something that actually works together as a daily diet. A banana with oats makes breakfast more filling. A banana with peanut butter becomes a snack that holds energy for hours. A banana blended with milk becomes a soft, easy-to-drink smoothie for mornings when eating feels like too much effort. A banana after a rice and chicken dinner replaces an expensive dessert with something that feels genuinely satisfying. Bananas do not try to be the star of the meal, they quietly make every other food on this list better. Nutritionally, bananas provide natural carbohydrates with fiber, which means a gentler blood sugar curve than candy, cookies, or juice. They provide vitamin B6, which supports nerve function and mood. And they provide potassium, a mineral that is one of the most powerful natural moderators of sodium-induced blood pressure elevation. Here's what most grocery lists don't mention about bananas and blood pressure. Potassium from food, not from supplements, is part of the foundational DASH diet strategy, specifically designed for adults managing hypertension. 1 banana per day is a practical, inexpensive, enjoyable way to increase potassium intake meaningfully. For seniors managing blood pressure with or without medication, this is a relevant and legitimate dietary tool. The buying strategy: purchase a mix of green and yellow at the same time. The yellow ones are ready immediately. The green ones ripen over the next 3 to 5 days, giving you a rolling supply that lasts the week rather than all ripening at once. When any banana gets too ripe and soft, do not throw it away. Peel it, slice it, and freeze it in a small bag. Drop it frozen into oatmeal for natural sweetness, blend it into a smoothie, or mash it into simple banana bread with oats and an egg. A bunch of 6 to 7 bananas at most grocery stores costs $1 to $1.50. That is roughly 20 cents per piece of fruit that requires zero effort and fits into every meal, every snack, and every situation on this list. That is why bananas are number 1. Not because they are the most nutritious food on the list, but because they are the most consistently usable food on the list. On good days, on tired days, on days when cooking is impossible, On days when appetite is low, bananas are always there, always ready, always worth the 20 cents. Before we close, I want to share one more thing. Because everything we've talked about today becomes significantly more effective when you understand one simple principle that ties it all together. Protein timing. Research on aging and muscle maintenance has found something important. Older adults' muscles are less responsive to protein at any given time than younger adults' muscles are, which means that when and how protein is distributed across the day matters. Specifically, spreading protein intake across breakfast, lunch, and dinner, rather than concentrating it at dinner, supports better muscle maintenance over time. Look at this list through that lens. Eggs and Greek yogurt at breakfast. Tuna or sardines at lunch. Chicken thighs at dinner. Beans and peanut butter filling the gaps. Milk throughout the day. These are not just budget-friendly foods. They are a protein distribution framework designed for the nutritional reality of an aging body. 15 groceries. Protein, energy, fiber, heart health, bone health, blood pressure support, gut health, eye health, without supplements, without specialty health foods, without spending more than a reasonable weekly grocery budget allows. The most expensive thing you can buy at a grocery store is not the premium item at the top of the shelf. It is the food that goes into the refrigerator and comes out as waste 3 days later. Every item on this list was chosen specifically because it gets used. Because it fits into how real people actually cook, actually eat, and actually live after 60. A good kitchen does not need to be full of impressive-looking foods. It needs foods you can actually eat, actually use, and actually not regret when you open the refrigerator. These 15 items: eggs, oats, Greek yogurt, canned tuna, frozen vegetables, beans, canned sardines, rice, canned tomatoes, potatoes, sweet potatoes, chicken thighs, milk, peanut butter, and bananas, create stability. And after 60, stability is not a small thing. It is the entire foundation. If this video helped you think differently about even 1 or 2 items in your cart, drop a Valak in the comments right now. That's it. Just a single check mark. It helps me know this kind of content is genuinely useful to you. And if you want to see exactly what a full week of eating from this list looks like, what to make on Monday, what to prep on Sunday, how to actually turn these 15 items into real daily meals without recipes, that video is coming next. Subscribe so you don't miss it, because that is where all of this becomes a practical plan you can bring to the store this week. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourself and shop smart.